if you know Myron Gaines and you know Destiny, the left-wing streamer, Myron's obviously the right-wing streamer. Both have conflicting ideas. But they had a little sit down and they talked about a bunch of different things. But one thing they talked about is the Epstein client list and Jeffrey Epstein and Israel being involved through the Mossad and through blackmailing and being involved in all of this child sex trafficking, right? It's disgusting. And they had this debate, Myron and Destiny. And I kind of want to watch a little bit on the podcast and react to it a little bit because Myron makes some really good points. So take a listen.
Do you think if Epstein was like, Jeffrey Mohammed, that like we would be concealing the fact that he was, an asset for a foreign intelligence service? No, the documents would have been declassified immediately.
Sure, but I don't think that would have been because like we're beholden to Israel. I think it's just because a lot of older Americans remember 9/11 and fucking hate Muslims and shit. And we're like, fuck this guy.
No, sure. But like what the point is that like, if Epstein was Muslim, those documents would be out. If he was an Arab, those documents would be out. Like, but the fact that he was tied in with Israeli intelligence, like we still don't have the documents, we don't have anything. Oh, we're going to declassify him. Didn't bring anything out. It took 60 years to get the
Epstein
documents.
The Epstein is hard. I truly believe, I don't think there is a book. There is no client list. I think that Epstein was a kind of a perverted dude. He had young people there. I don't think there.
What? Destiny believes that there was no client list, that it was just Epstein? What?
There's anything to be found from the Epstein stuff. So, I think that Trump played it up because they wanted it to be and because it
he was probably there. That's why he's a known freak. He was probably there.
Looked good as like a hit piece, but like I think that like the people that pushed this the hardest would have been the ones with most incentive to kill him, right? Epstein died in 2019 in a Trump federal prison,
yep.
Right? What was it? Acosta was a Department of Labor secretary who was the criminal attorney, I think, who got
U.S. attorney or U.S. attorney. He was the U.S. attorney out of Southern District of Florida.
Nice deal so that he didn't have prison time for the first charges that he caught.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to make like Epstein, obviously, if he was on video saying, "Oh, Joe Biden is my best friend of 10 years," like people would be losing their mind because it was Trump. Nobody even knows about the call that's like publicly available. Yeah, I don't know. The issue I have, I guess, sometimes is that like I can see a bunch of stuff that like I understand. Like there's good explanations for it. And I'm like,
what he said about Trump is definitely true, and I'm surprised more people don't react to that. Epstein did admit that he was friends with Trump for a decade, and it seemed like for a long time, and that's kind of changing now. But for a long time, people didn't care. People in MAGA didn't care, and Joe Biden didn't have a tape like that. So that is a very valid point that he's going to bring up. I just want to let that be known.
Is there anything that's happening where it's like, I can't explain that without some kind of like foreign push?
So here's my thing. I actually agree with you that like people are way too hyped up on the client list or whatever. And actually, to be honest with you, I was talking with you about this, where people really need to look is the CIA. Because if he was actually a foreign agent for a foreign country, the CIA is going to have all that information. The FBI is strictly domestic, like NSA, CIA, honestly.
I would push back against Myron for one simple point. I think the client list is a big issue because largely these were politicians that committed all of these unspeakable acts, and these are the people that make our laws. So if the people that make our laws are sex trafficking children, I think it is quite a big deal. And again, it wasn't just politicians, it was CEOs, it was celebrities, but in particular politicians, I think that we should care about this because it does directly affect us in that way when these people make our laws. That's all.
Tulsi Gabbard is the one that's going to have everything when it comes to Epstein, because people forget that there's a criminal case and there's also a classified high side. That's the stuff that people want to see. So my thing is, I think the fact that he is aligned with the Israeli government is a big reason why they're not showing us that, because that's what people really want to see. Is there a client list? Maybe. But my thing is, I'm more interested in who was he working for? Why was he collecting the information that he was collecting? And what was he actually doing when he was in the US? Like, what were his meetings like, et cetera? Because I guarantee
to be fair,
they have that.
That kind of stuff will never be released. Like ever. Like when they say stuff like that would never come out.
That's what they campaign on, and that's why people are so pissed off.
But that's like their issue. Yeah. I think one big issue the Trump admin is going to have, like in the first term, because Trump doesn't know how to do politics. He didn't know anything about like, what are my...
That is true. He does not know how to do politics at all. He said, oh yeah, I'm going to hire this second time, my second term, I'm going to hire good people. I was in here once. I know who the snakes are. And he turns around, and he hires Marco Rubio for Secretary of State, one of the biggest neocons in politics today. So to Destiny's point, he is correct.
What do my cabinet members do, or what do my agencies do? Now coming in, right, he's appointed absolute sycophants in every single cabinet position, and now he can't use those.
Yeah, he
can't
put
use-
loyalists instead of competent
Yeah, so
individuals.
he can't use deep state excuses anymore, unless we're saying the deep state is even deeper than all the Trump control. And when you've got guys like, bongo balls or whatever on Tim Pool saying, I got a guy in the CIA who told me 100%, and now, this guy is deputy of the FBI with Kash Patel or whatever, and they're like, oh shit, we actually have nothing. Nothing's going on here. And Tulsi Gabbard says nothing is going on, and Pam Bondi says nothing's going on. Like, at what point is it like,
Has Tulsi Gabbard, because that's who people really need to ask questions to, because the people forget like how the intelligence apparatus is, but she's the one that's going to have everything. She's going to have the high side stuff that people are actually interested in.
They say that, but like, what was the argument before? The argument, so Pam Bondi should theoretically have everything but the DOJ, but she's like, well, the Southern District of New York was hiding stuff from us. So is Tulsi Gabbard going to leave in 4 years and be like, actually, even though I was a director of national intelligence, they were hiding stuff from me too? And it's like, fuck.
Well, the reason why I say her is because she's going to have access to all the classified stuff from the intelligence community, right? Like,
no, I understand theoretically, but I'm saying it feels like there's always a deeper state to point to once they're out of office. They're like, we couldn't get those files because somebody deep in this.
My bottom line is that if he had worked for the Saudi Arabian government, we would have those documents. But since he was tied in with the Israeli government, we're not getting those documents because.
True. Very true, because Israel is behind it. These are just, if you're a rational person, you can look for all of the information and you will find Israel and Mossad at the bottom of this rabbit hole that you will go down to find who is behind all of this.
And I guarantee you why they're not going to release it. They're going to consider it national defense information, NDI.
Yep.
And off that, we can't release it. And then a lot of those people are still alive. Who knows what
I feel like this would be standard like, I don't think we would know about Saudi Arabia. They literally fucking chainsawed that one dude up in that embassy.
Khashoggi?
We didn't do fuck all about that, right? I think at this point, most people believe.
But we wouldn't give that same level of Saudi Arabia, cool. But I'm saying for Ukraine, the level we give Israel is insane.
Maybe.
Insane.
What was his name? Jasal?
Oh, Khashoggi?
Khashoggi. Jesus fuck.
Yeah.
I said
The Saudi Arabian guy.
It's pretty crazy. I'm pretty sure people saw him getting carried out and
They killed him in Turkey. Yeah.
Yeah. And then and look at Ukraine. I think at this point, most people know that Zelensky might not have had personal knowledge, but Ukraine probably took out the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. We haven't released anything or said anything. Fuck all about that. I think it's pretty standard practice we have allies. We're not going to release condemned.
Sure.
But
the amount of aid that we give them, the amount of money we give them, etc. I'm saying any other country, had Epstein not been aligned with Israel, let's say he had been aligned with Turkey, even Ukraine, some of our greatest allies, the info would have came out, is my argument.
I don't know.
It's speculative, but I think the info would have came out.
Erdogan was literally in the United States with his own bodyguards, beating up U.S. citizens, and we didn't say fuck all about it. We're like, oh, he's cool, just. We give a lot of deference to people we're
Erdogan
friends
is a
with.
scumbag, man.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Turkey, it does a lot. Trump literally, when he left Syria, and Turkey was like, oh, we can go bomb these motherfucking Kurds now.
It's like the definition of a guy that just talks shit, but.
Yeah, but we didn't do fuck all about it or condemn him or say anything bad about it. So I don't know. I think we get a lot of deference to our allies. It's hard to say.
So, it was a very interesting interview to watch, kind of a debate to watch, and I think it is funny because the both of them talk super fast in that interview, and I had it on 1.25 speed, and they just went blah, 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 and you couldn't really understand that at first, so I apologize. But listen, I think that that Myron and Destiny debate on Epstein and his involvement in the Israel government, I think was very interesting. And I think that is an interesting point when Destiny talks about it could be Saudi Arabia. They do shady stuff as well. I'm open to that, but what Myron's saying is true. Trump is compromised because he has all these allegiances with all these powerful Israelis, especially the Adelsons, but others as well, other Israeli dual citizens in America and Israel, where they've donated to his campaign, and he's kind of beholden to them now. It's very sad to see, and I don't think that we're going to get those files. I predicted a long time ago that we wouldn't. I would love to. But I don't think that we're going to be able to get that, as unfortunate as it is. So, a very interesting interview. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not very optimistic when it comes to that at all. But that's been the show. Give me a like. Give me a sub. We are very fortunate to just be getting monetized now. So, thank you guys for everything, for all the support. Please comment something. Just continue to boost the show up in the algorithm. It's a pleasure. This is day 2 of a 5-night episode. We'll call it a run and see where it goes from here. But yeah, appreciate you all, and yeah, we'll see ya.